Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Real Estate Investors Meetup podcast, keeping you up to date with what is happening in the York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania real estate markets.
Welcome to the Central Pennsylvania Real Estate Investors Meetup podcast. My name is Chad Eisenhart. I go to all the local real estate meetups in York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and rebroadcast them in their entirety. Whether you're a new investor just looking to get started, or you have 100 doors, real estate meetups are a great place to meet like-minded individuals, including buying and selling your deals. I'm a buy and hold real estate investor focused on single-family, multifamily, and self-storage in York, Pennsylvania. You can find me at chadbuys.com. This week, I'm at Landlord Investors Mastermind Group hosted by Judah Hoover, located in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The speaker is Harry Naill with 1-800-WILL-PAY. Harry discusses the benefits of networking, finding quality contractors for your projects, how delays in your project can cost you money, what to include in your contract, including trash removal, locking the doors at night, and daily cleanup, why doing the work yourself is actually not profitable, selling yourself to your contractors, knowing your elevator pitch, hiring a retired contractor when you're either too busy or don't know construction to keep an eye on your deals, always getting a couple bids, letting your insurance carrier know that the property is vacant, and getting your contractor to sign off on the final payment to avoid liens on your property. And now on to this week's episode. Thank you.
How is everybody doing today? Outstanding. So I just want to say that I appreciate everyone making it out here tonight. And in case I forget, I'm going to try and mention it several times throughout the course of the night. The next 2 months, we bump up to the third Thursday instead of the fourth Thursday. I think that you should cook a turkey by brining it first for at least 24 to 72 hours. And you should cook it upside down. That way all the juices run into the breast, not the breast being up there isolated and all the juices flow out of it. So that's what I'm going to be doing on the fourth Thursday next month, and you guys aren't invited. I wish that I could invite you. It's just not practical. Yeah, they moved us around here a little bit tonight. I was also running late because I had some parent-teacher conferences. For those of you that don't know, I'm a single dad with 4 kids that I get 50% of the time, and I absolutely love them. And so when, I would hate to be the school and do that whole thing that they have to do, scheduling and coordinating with everybody when they can make it and whatever. And so they're like, hey, we're doing parent-teacher conferences, these 4 or 5 days of this week and these 2 or 3 days of this week, these times a day, when can you do? And I'm just always like, hey, pencil me in wherever, I can do whatever. And one of them was starting the time I usually leave Lancaster to get here. So I was a little bit late. Johnny Throne hooked me up and everything like that. So you guys already saw all that. Guys, last month's speaker was David Krulak. Who was here to see David Krulak speak? That was pretty good stuff, right? No. Yeah, so here's the problem. I actually saved this in my external drive and it didn't come over right. I'm not sure what slides we're going to see here tonight. This is going to be fun for everybody. So last month was Call Judah. I knew he was going to bring the heat. That was even above what I thought he was going to. Was that not good stuff? Who was here for that? I really liked that. I learned some really great stuff and walked away. Just the whole difference between goals and tasks and some other things like that, and setting goals for how often you're going to do something is different. I'm going to run 5 times a week is different than I'm going to run a 7-minute mile. You know what I mean? You need to have both of those types of goals, outcome goals and task-oriented goals. Some of you guys actually work out and do other stuff like that, so that's not an uncommon concept to you. But that was kind of a fresh thing for me, and applying a lot of that stuff to business made a lot of sense. Tonight's speaker is Harry Naill. Harry is going to be with us here in just a second. I have a funny story about that I'll tell you here in just a second. Next month, Alan Swanson is going to be with us. I've known Alan for, 10 years? Alan is just a great guy, has a good servant's heart. Real estate is kind of his, second calling. He was a senior executive for a long time, and when he got out of the corporate world, started doing real estate. And what I love about Alan is he's a different guy than I am. Real estate investors fall into one of two basic categories. Brash, know-it-all, shoot from the hip, salesmen, wild and crazy guys, like myself. What's that?
Guilty.
Yeah, and then the logical thinkers, planners, everything like that. The problem with the real estate knowledge and information business is these people over here will hit a ball out of the park once, early in their career. They think that's the way to do things. They write a book. Those are the guys you learn from. None of these guys over here who fail and bomb out of real estate write books. So there's not a lot of people telling the cautionary tales of taking this approach. Sometimes it takes longer for the engineers to get started, but they have a much higher success rate. Whenever I'm looking to learn, I always try to learn from engineers. Does that make sense? So Alan is going to be speaking next month and focusing on the documents that it took to be successful. We're a free club. We're open to all. Everybody's welcome. Appreciate you guys all being here. Networking starts around 6:30. We usually go till about 9, just if you're planning for babysitting for future nights or anything like that. If you ever do have to leave early, don't hesitate to just head on out. Funny story about cell phones being silenced. I was speaking at a conference this weekend, and one of the speaker's cell phones went off while he was talking. It was hilarious. Thank you guys very much for getting registered. And, guys, I just think we've had a really great year. We've had almost 50% women, between April Crossley and Becca Shea, and Anna Kelly and a number of other high-powered women that we've had speaking here. Maybe you noticed that, maybe you didn't. That was somewhat intentional. And also, I hope that you guys noticed that no one was selling any books, tapes, or seminars. And there wasn't any big national speakers from out of town. And we are next year going to continue with a lot of those themes and have really high power, high quality content from right here in Central PA. There's a lot of really great speakers in the area, and I think that there is definitely a lot to see. Guys, I have to say this at the beginning of every meeting. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a financial planner. Please don't sue me, okay? Thank you. Here's who I am. You kind of know that. Chad Eisenhart is here recording this, and a couple of us have gotten together, and we are making a podcast, and Chad is helping facilitate that, and we are super appreciative of it. Harry Naill, who's here, Harry, wave to everybody. Harry runs the York Meetup. Those are going to be obviously some of the episodes as well, and so if you can't make it to the Lancaster meeting, I try to put on awesome content. The content's really only 50% of the reason that you should come out here. There's a lot more going on here than just the content. But if you can't make it and you need the content, I have people email me all the time and say, I want the slide deck, or can you give me notes or something like that. So if you absolutely are very interested in the thing, but a buddy of mine can't be here tonight because Elvis Costello is at Hershey tonight, apparently. So he took his wife to that, and I said, hey, listen, I get it, man. But I will be able to get him to see this. And then Johnny Throne, yes?
It's Central PA Real Estate Investors Meetup Podcast.
Central PA Real Estate Investors Meetup Podcast. He could have come up with a longer name, but, it was kind of stretched at the time, and he had to go with the best he could come up with. That's good. That's excellent, my friend. And then Johnny Throne is in the back. And Steve Swineford, two great guys to know and talk with. Johnny Throne is an excellent commercial agent for mortgages and lending and things like that. I just sent some people over to him this week. And Steve Swineford is a really great insurance agent to know. So I was at a conference recently, speaking at that conference, and I felt like the material was way above everybody's head who was there in the room. I feel they build themselves as not trying to be the best, a newbie or a beginner real estate conference. And what they did was they told people how to structure their companies with 18 employees and how to go after and buy $20 million apartment complexes and things like that. And I think that it's fine to have knowledge and information that's a step above, one step above. This was way above. Anyway, we're not going to be doing that at this conference that we're putting on in the spring. There's going to be great information for beginners, great information for if you've bought 3 or 4 or 5 deals and you're not a beginner anymore, but it's not going to be way over your head. I think the real estate information business right now is full of a lot of people who have had a lot of success in real estate, and it is going way over a whole bunch of people's heads. The Meetup code is there. I know what's going to happen. None of you are going to register until February or March, and that's fine. I won't pretend anything different. However, at least get the dates down. The goal is that we're going to have about 1,000 people there and about 150 to 250 vendors. It's going to be a really, really great thing. All right, guys. I want to know what it is that you want to hear. I want to know what it is that you think is missing from most real estate courses. I've been doing a lot of deep diving and focusing on my message and kind of my place in the sphere that we're operating in, and asking myself a lot of questions that I haven't really asked for about 15 years of operating in this space. And one of the things that I kind of realized was when I got involved in real estate investing, there was a whole bunch of people who said they wanted to help me, but really what they were interested in was their own ego and selling me coaching and programs and things like that, usually with a comma in it. And they were more interested in puffing up their chest and bragging on who they were instead of helping me. And also, I looked at what they were doing, and it was scary. And it was intimidating, and it looked like a lot of work, and it looked like it brought a whole lot of uncertainty along with it. And that was ironic because the whole reason I wanted to get into real estate to begin with was to eliminate some uncertainty from my life. I didn't get into real estate because I hated my job and I wanted to quit my job. I was looking for something else to do to help me make some additional income so I could work the job I wanted to work instead of the job I had to work. And I think there's a lot of people out there, and I just want to say, if that's you today, if the concept of driving a Lamborghini and living 50% of your time in Puerto Rico for the tax benefits because you're making so much money, if that doesn't appeal to you and that doesn't light your fire, that's okay. It's okay to want to simply be a real estate investor. See, I've always had a full-time job and been a full-time real estate investor. And I've always found that being a full-time lender or property manager or whatever it is has always helped me be a better real estate investor. And being a good real estate investor has always helped me with that. And so I'm just kind of fleshing that out and just kind of working through that. And I appreciate you guys letting me share some of that with you, but I want you to know that it's okay to not like everything about this space. It's okay to have questions and not understand everything about this space. It's okay to say, hey, Judah, I need a lease template. Hey, Judah, I don't understand when people talk about this form or that form, what do they mean, and does that apply in Pennsylvania? And how does that work? Email me. Email me if you don't have questions, but you say, hey, Judah, I don't need these forms, but I've found these 3 or 4 forms have been very valuable to me. Hey, Judah, you know what? I kind of got over this hump, but I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and one of the things that hung me up right away in the first 6, 8 months was XYZ. And as soon as I figured that out, I felt free to move forward with a whole lot more success in my real estate business. I want to hear from you guys. It's okay to not have it all together. LIMG Resources, AccurateRent.com, Buyers Network. Guys, I'm not trying to build a buyer's list with this. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be your realtor. Beth, wave your hand. Beth is a great realtor. If you're ever looking to buy or sell real estate, you should call Beth. Yes, I'm licensed. Yes, you can use me, but that's not what I'm doing here. We've got a Facebook page that's really awesome and a really cool YouTube channel. I just put out something, actually showing people what it looks like to go to Lowe's and or Home Depot at 6 a.m. and showed all the contractor trucks that were there and almost got run over by them. It was great. I got comments on that. Everything from, hey, Judah, glad to see you're out so early in the morning. The thing that would have made it even better is if you would have still been there in your pajamas. So that was great. And a real estate investor that I really respect said that they thought that it was a brilliant move. So I think that's really great. Harry, do you have your slide deck for me, my friend? Why don't you come on up here? So what's funny is, guys, Tuesday night, Harry runs an awesome meeting in York that you should absolutely check out. And just this past Tuesday night, my phone was blowing up because I had a deal that was blowing up. And I said, shoot, I got to run. We're gonna do this down and dirty, my friend. I'm just going to load directly from your stick. And so I had a deal blowing up, and it was, have you guys ever had a deal that was also going to affect other deals? That's what was happening to me on Tuesday night. And I said, Harry, I hate to do this to you, dude, but I got to go. And I actually had to leave his meeting. I felt kind of bad about it.
I just introduced him. I said, hey,
Right.
Judah, there, he stood up and then he's, waving at everybody. Next thing you know, he's like,
I had to go take care of business. So to pay me back, Harry went down to, where'd you go today?
Delta.
And was 10 minutes late for my meeting. He said, you want to leave my meeting early? I'll be late to yours. So.
Apparently not late enough. That was all.
So here you go, my friend. So here's the deal. I mean, for those of you that don't know Harry, let's make sure this works. Yep. For those of you that don't know Harry, I have a tremendous amount of respect for this man. I've seen him give this presentation, and he's always working on it with the latest information, or maybe I also just didn't take good enough notes, because there's always something new that I learned from it, and I'm no stranger to rehabbing properties. Like back before child labor laws, I was working with my grandfather's and uncle's construction business, okay? I grew up in contracting, and I learned a lot from this man on how to do stuff. Harry is a wealth of knowledge and information and has the authority to stand here in front of us because of how many properties he's flipped. Because he owns over 100 units, participated in over 100 flips, participating in over like 2,200 real estate transactions as a buyer or seller agent, is a fortune builder's coach. Do you guys understand that like Dan Merrill just doesn't let anybody be on his payroll to talk to his students? You understand what I'm saying? So we are really blessed to have Harry Naill here today. I will be the guy in the back. It'll look like I'm on my phone. I'm actually typing directly notes into a Word document as he's going through this. So, ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for my good friend Harry Naill.
Is this a laser pointer too, Judah?
There is a laser pointer right in the middle.
Middle, okay, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I really appreciate the fact that you're coming out to further your education in real estate, to be able to do deals better, to be able to save money, and to be able to keep your ass out of court. And if you haven't done any deals, this is the perfect time. And it's actually the perfect place. And I want to thank Judah for putting all this hard work, taking videos and sending emails and getting speakers. It's a lot of work running a group. So let's give Judah a hand. My goal tonight is to help propel people forward, whether you're an experienced investor and you've done a bunch of rehabs, whether they're on your rentals or whether they're on flips, to do it the right way. I didn't create this information. It's all from Fortune Builders. People pay $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 to join Fortune Builders and to get trained. You're getting it for free tonight. So at the end, I'm going to ask you, for the people who maybe they're buying rental properties, but they're afraid to do a rehab on one. They've heard the horror stories. They don't know any contractors. They just don't know the process. So they'll buy ones that are already fixed up. And that's okay to do that if you've got a lot of disposable income. But you are going to pay top dollar for those, right? The ones that are all fixed up. So I'm going to guide you through the muddy waters, the choppy waters, if you will, on how to do it the right way and how to keep your ass out of court. And I'm going to show you the documents you need to get signed every time you do a rehab. My company is Otter Creek Properties. We also have a really cool 1-800 number. Anybody ever see this number on a sign or a electrical mailbox, commercial box? We also have a matching domain name. If anybody knows anything about 1-800 numbers, it's next to impossible today, unless you pay a lot of money, to get a 7-digit 800 number that spells anything that's related to your business. Slight caveat with 1-800 will pay. I had shirts made, and I took my crew in. We went to a gentleman's bar one night, and boy, was I popular. 1-800. No, real estate, really. So we have rentals, we flip properties. Again, I've been a realtor for 34 years, and we're going to jump right into it. So if people have questions during the presentation, just holler out, okay? Right now I'm working on 6 rehabs, 3 flips, and 3 rental properties that are getting rehabbed. My departments are acquisition, wholesaling, selling, project manager, development, growth, and obtaining private money, because we all need private money. Matter of fact, at one of the coaches' masterminds, Dan Merrill said, everybody write down a piece of paper, what's your biggest hurdle in real estate? So we all wrote it down, and by far, probably 92% said not enough money. Lots of deals out there, just not enough money to do the deals. So that's another presentation for another day, though, obtaining private and hard money and what they're looking for. Right now, there's more reality TV shows on real estate than anything else. So we do have a lot of competition because of that, and because of Fortune Builders and people like that. What's number 2? What's the second highest reality show? What area of business? Food, right? Look at all the food networks, right? Food. Everybody's making food. There's a lot of smart people in the business, so we want you to bring your A game. How do you bring your A game? Come to meetings like this. Get educated about the business. And you'll also get educated about that little voice between your ears. You can work on personal growth and development at these meetings. But networking is one of the biggest things that I stress in my meetings to do. Show up early. Don't take me as an example. But show up early and stay late. Talk to people. Pass out cards. Rub elbows with people who are doing more business than you. Take them to lunch. That's what network is about. I've done business with the Lancaster Group, I've done business here, and I've done business in York just because I got to know people and I got to build personal relationships. Social media is great, but there's nothing like building personal relationships, and that can last a lifetime. So the value of these type of groups, getting educated, networking, motivation, it's priceless. It really is. You know what drives me crazy? How many people here text and drive? I'm guilty of it. Come on. No, be honest. You're all liars. You're all liars. Come on. If you're in York, you know where Route 30 is. It goes east to west from Gettysburg to Philly. But anyway, I'm driving down. My daughter was in the car. Some guy was texting and driving. He ran us off the road. I tell you, I was so damn mad at him, I almost threw my beer at him. I was mad. Most people will not get rich from flipping houses. It's not going to happen. The true wealth and the true way to build your financial future is through rental real estate. Rental real estate is still the #1 way for the average American to become financially independent. Now, I flip houses, not because I really want to, because I can't wait till the day I actually stop flipping houses. But my marketing on flipping houses kind of goes hand in hand. I'm also able to pick up rentals that way. So the marketing gets paid for the flipping, but I get to pick up rentals. See how I do that? Why do we want to invest in rental real estate? Because it's highly profitable and we can use OPM. Who doesn't know what OPM is? Couple, 4 or 5 ways. Other people's money. We can leverage. If you go to your stockbroker and you want to buy $100,000 worth of stock or bonds, CDs, gold, I don't care what it is, you got to give them $100,000 to get a $100,000 investment, correct? Right. Real estate, you can put 25% down unless you're affluent with the bank and have a good relationship, maybe 20%. But you can walk out with 80% or 75% financing. That's leveraging. That's using other people's money. And that's how you can accumulate a lot of properties with a small amount of money. You just got to pay the debt off. Tax benefits, there's depreciation. You can depreciate the improvement value, which is the house. You can't depreciate the land, but you can depreciate the improvement, which is the house, or garages or other structures. And then there's appreciation. Hopefully, when you buy for $100,000 in 20 years, it's worth $200,000, right? And of course, you're paying it off through equity buildup. It's a great way to get passive income. So as I'm getting ready to get into the meat and potatoes of the presentation, if anybody, how many people have done a rehab? Whether it's a rental or a flip. Raise your hand again, everybody. A little over half. That's great. That's awesome. If you hear a point that I make where you say, if I'd have only known that 2 years ago, I could have saved myself thousands of dollars, or I wouldn't have gotten into that fight with the contractor. Judah?
Yes?
What kind of car do you drive?
Red minivan.
A red minivan.
Red minivan.
What make?
Chrysler.
Okay. Anyway, if something strikes you where like, oh my God, instead of a aha moment, I like kaboom. A little more dramatic. So can I get a promise that you'll do that? Just holler out kaboom. Okay. All right. What's your name, honey, up front here?
Vilma.
Wilma?
Vilma.
Vilma. Hi, Vilma. Do you know why women don't make obscene phone calls? Because men don't hang up. Who did that? All right, give him a prize. Tell him what he's won, Bob. You see that guy in the middle? Oh, yeah, I got a laser. See that guy? How many of you who have done a rehab look like that guy at times? Right? Should I work on it myself? Should I do the painting? Should I do the carpentry? Should I do, I'm all mixed up, right? My answer is probably not. especially if you're working on multiple rehabs, it's impossible. Most of the time, if you're working on a rehab, you're working on one at a time because you can't work on it anymore. You're tied up. So what I want you to do next time this question comes up, I want you to write down on paper every cost that is associated with that property. I want you to come up with your holding costs, taxes, insurance, utilities, somebody to cut the grass, somebody to shovel the snow, interest on that hard money loan, points included, right? Divided by 365 days a year, and then that way you know a per diem. You know exactly every day what that house cost you. And you know what I hear in my head when I do that? Every day I hear cha-ching, 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 because it costs you money every day. How about it, Alan? Every day. When you get delays in settlements, it's going to be 2 more weeks. But it's no big deal to them. It is to me. That's 2 more weeks of all that stuff I just mentioned, right? Remember, when you're working on the house yourself, you could be holding other people up. If you've got a day job and you're going there in the evenings and you're painting, the electrician's done, the plumber's done, drywaller's done, and you're there painting, and the carpenter's waiting to get back in to hang the doors and the trim, and you've just extended that rehab, costing you cha-ching more money, right? You might have been better off just taking that money and just paying somebody, a pro, to do it. You know what else you lose when you do that? Right there, quality of life. You really want to spend your whole, and I noticed a couple of friends of ours spent their whole summer running to this property after work, weekends. They lost the whole summer. Personally, I love my summers, so I'm not going to do that. So you don't look like this guy. Actually, don't look like all 3 of them here. Not everybody knows this. You want to hire quality contractors. How do you find them? How do you interview them? How do you process that whole situation? Well, first thing you have to do is you got to find them. What the hell am I doing? There we go. Websites is one way. You can go to the internet, right? Now, if they've got some big-ass elaborate website that just has thousands of pictures of these houses they built 4,000 square, that's not your guy. That is not your guy. Matter of fact, if you're flipping or rehabbing your rental, you aren't going to be probably hiring any A players because they're usually booked out 3 or 4 months in advance, and they're very expensive. You're shaking your head. You had that experience? Tell me about it.
So I was in rehab in the spring, and heaters were non-existent.
Yeah, they're in such demand. They can have their high price and price tag because they're so good. But we can't, number one, we can't afford it and we can't wait, right? Remember? Cha-ching, cha-ching. You got to get somebody in there, get it done, get it rented or flipped. Builders Association is a good one, though. Quality contractors typically will be members of the Builders Association because they want to keep abreast of all the new laws that come in, the new changes and permitting things and different trends. That's what they do. They all these contractors get together and they stay educated just like we're doing here to do our business bigger, better, and badder, right? 3 Bs, bigger, better, badder. What is the 3 Bs? Come on, what are you guys, dead up here in Harrisburg? That's better. You're not quite up to the York status, but we'll get you there by the end of the night. Supply houses. This is a great one here. I look at contractors like I'm deer hunting. Who are my hunters here? That's it? Oh my God, there's something wrong with you people up here. You don't go just sit in the woods. You go where there's crossings. Multiple trails come together because that's the highest chance that you have of seeing a deer in the time frame that you're there. Contractors, same way. You go to their crossings. Bars, plumbing supply houses, electrical supply houses, Lowe's, Home Depot. They all go there. And if it's a flipper and he's doing a lot of homes, that flipper's probably not going to go there, but guess what? His men will. Hey, who's your boss? That's how you meet people. That's how you get to know people. I went into Lowe's when I first started doing this 10 years ago, and I said, hey, and I was looking for names and numbers of people that wanted to buy houses because I was doing a lot of wholesaling back then. So I said, hey, give me a name and number of a couple people that are buying houses because I got this house, it's really in bad condition and I want to get it sold. And I just want to sell it to one of these flipper guys. And they said, oh, we can't give out names and numbers here. We're not allowed to do that. I said, look, I understand you're not going to give the name out of a contractor and then I go get my addition built and he runs off with my money and then I come and bitch at you. That's not what I'm doing here. I want to sell them a house, not get them to do work. These people put signs on poles and on their van and in people's yard, for God's sake. They want to be found. I'm pretty sure that if I had a house to sell and you didn't give them my name and number, they're going to be pretty pissed off at you. And you could see the wheels turning, and the guy went, oh, yeah. And then he gave me a couple names and numbers. So sometimes you got to walk them through it at Lowe's and Home Depot. Like Carter Lumber, all those plumbing supplies, all those places. I mean, they have bulletin boards with, shit tacked up, right? So they're usually they're a little sharper. They're more willing to give out people's names and numbers. But that's a great one. Job sites. How many people have driven by a house and there's a dumpster out front and you see workers there? This is easy. Finding contractors is easy. It's not hard. Stop. Talk to the workers. Hey, get the name and number. Who's your boss? Great way to do that. Investment groups. How many well, I'm not going to ask that. I got a reason. And as I go through this, if there's any contractors here, and I'm sure there is, I'm not trying to piss any contractors off, okay? Just not. What I'm presenting is fair for both parties. Just wanted to say that. Contractor referrals. An electrician might be able to refer a mason to you, or a plasterer, or a drywaller. And believe it or not, on Craigslist. Now this one takes a little skill. What I do when I'm looking for somebody, whether it's a handyman or whatever the case is, I put in there, give me a 2-paragraph resume. Guess how many give me a 2-paragraph resume? Less than half. Some say, hi, I'm John, call me. Guess who doesn't get a return email or call? They can't follow simple instructions. Am I going to hire them? No. And never, ever, ever put your phone number in that ad. Have them come back through Craigslist so they don't know who you are. You can read the resumes, and then you get to call who you want. I actually found some really good people on Craigslist over the years that way. And again, I didn't invent it. Fortune Builders taught me that.
Can I ask a quick question?
You can.
How specific are you when you put that ad on Craigslist? Are you saying you're looking for a GC or you're looking for an electrical contractor?
Whatever you're looking for. Yep, a general contractor. I'm looking for an electrician, a plumber, whatever the case. And what do we mean when we say a quality contractor? That's a person who's professional, competent, licensed, skilled. He worked with your system and he has an inclination to get his ass out of bed in the morning, and he's going to do the most efficient job possible. Now that all sounds well and good, but a lot of contractors are great mechanics, but they're terrible managers. We all know contractors like that. They're terrible managers. They're all discombobulated, their paperwork's a mess, and they're just all over the place. But man, when they're on the job and they're working, they do a really nice job. So that person's a highly skilled technician. Anybody read the E-Myth? Highly skilled technician. But he'll always be a technician unless he learns to become a good manager too. Then he can maybe propel himself to entrepreneurial status. Oh, by the way, just in case I do piss any contractors off, I'm driving a red minivan. It's parked out. Now you know where I went with that. Your screening process is you always want to meet somewhere where in a professional setting if you can. If you have a home office that you can shut the door, keep the dogs and the kids out, that's great. If the contractor, maybe they have an office that you can go to, but it should be quiet, it should be very professional, and you're going to run them through a screening process. Now you can do it on the phone, but I like to do things in person. I'm old-fashioned, and that way I can get to see them. How many years in a job? Minimum of 3, 5 is better. What's the minimum? 3. What's the minimum? 3. All right. Do they have the proper tools? Or are they going to rent your center every time they need a tool? How many workers does he have working with him? If he says, well, I got one guy, and your rehab is a complete rehab, you can't hire that guy unless they use subs. But some of these contractors, oh, I can do everything. I can do everything. Beware of the contractor that says they can do everything, because that means a lot of the things are not doing well. Painting, drywall, you know. My family is 3 generations of plastering contractors. I grew up in going to construction site, and I'm a plasterer, so that was my trade before I got into real estate. And when I see some of this terrible drywall work, it just makes my skin want to crawl. I'm telling you, it's, I look around, because when I walk into a house, first thing I do is I go like this. I look at the ceilings, walls. A buddy of mine who was in my wedding, his dad owns a carpet store in York. The first thing he does when he walks in, he goes. So it's some really bad work out there. Is he licensed? In the state, he has to be licensed. There's a law today, so make sure that the person's licensed and insured. If they get hurt on the job and they're not insured, and you don't have the proper paperwork signed, your ass could be in real trouble. How many people have hired contractors with no good paperwork? She's already gone. And they didn't have insurance, but the cheap rate attracted you because, and I've done it so many times I can't even tell you, and I've just gotten lucky I've gotten away with it. Because the greed factor comes out and throws common sense right out the window. It does. It's just that cheap price just, man, it looks attractive. Man, it looks seductive. Sucks you right in. Beware of the cheap price, though, because you get what you pay for. Does he use subcontractors? A quality contractor will use quality subs. A good contractor won't use shitty subs. He just won't. Because that sub's going to make the contractor look bad, right? A good realtor is going to have a good mortgage company behind him, a good title company, a good insurance agent, all the professionals to build around them to actually make them look better and to propel them upward. So in this business, it's the same thing. You have to have a good team around you. You know, you need a good realtor. You need a good contractor. You need a good handyman, a lawn guy, attorney, title company, insurance agent. That's your team. Those guys are designed, they get paid to protect you and to give you good advice. You can't figure it out all on your own. You can't do it all by yourself. Has he ever declared bankruptcy? Hey, bad things happen to good people. I get it. But at least you can ask the questions and see how he responds. Or she. Could be a she. Not too many female contractors out there, but there are some. As an HVAC contractor in New York that I've used quite a few times. Referrals, again, contractors can give you referrals, references. And now a good one will always have before and after photos. They want to brag about their work, right? It's just like if I'm building a credibility kit for that private and hard money lending that I was talking about earlier, you better believe I got a ton of before and after pictures of houses in that portfolio. And when I go into the bank and drop it off, I drop off my whole credibility kit, 2 years tax returns, profit and loss for this year, copy of my credit report. I give them everything, and I'll never forget, a guy at Orrstown, he just sat there and looked at it, and he went, he goes, nobody's ever done this for me before. I had all the information up front and ready to go. So that helps expedite things, and it makes you look professional. Out of all that stuff, guess what he looked at the most and the longest? The before and after pictures. Probably looked at it for 20 minutes. It's cool. Oh man, look at that dump. Oh man, you guys did a great job. So yeah, pretty cool. Just like the elevator pitch. Who has their elevator pitch rehearsed? One person? There really is something wrong with you guys. We all know what an elevator pitch is, right? Or a 20-second commercial. You don't want to go over 20 seconds typically because the average American will tune you out after 20 seconds. But a good elevator pitch is, hi, my name's Harry Naill. I've been a realtor for 34 years, sold over 2,200 homes. If you need a house or you want to sell a house, give me a call. My experience will help propel you, get you the most amount of money for that house. So give me a call, something like that. Or, I'm a flipper, I'm a wholesaler, whatever the case might be. It has to be concise. So when you're meeting with a contractor, it's similar. You want to give them your pitch. Hey, my name's Harry Naill. My company is Otter Creek Properties. What we do is we flip houses. So what I need from you is I need you to sharpen your pencil. I need the best price possible. The reason, because I'm repeat business. And I'm not Johnny Homeowner. I ain't going to take 3 days to decide what color shutters I want on the house. I love this gal back here. She's just shaking her head, laughing all the time. And then the husband and wife get into a fight, and the contractor sitting there with the shingle samples and the soffits and the windows and all these little samples. Look at her over there. And, he's going, I'm going to put a frickin' fork in my eye if this goes 10 more minutes, because he's been there for 3 hours waiting on a decision on colors. And they're arguing, they can't agree, of course. But you don't have that with me. You don't have that. It's like every house I do is the frickin' same. They all look like twins. Everything's the same. Everything's brushed nickel, tan walls, white trim. What do you need to know? Go do it, right? So he saves time. So he can go from job to job to job without that lost time. Worst thing a contractor has is a couple days in between jobs. That is just blown out of the water. That's just lost time. When they can go from one job to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next, that's where they make their money. But you have to, relate that to them. You got to be able to, give them your pitch, talk to them. Let them know that you're a repeat customer. And remember this, if nothing else tonight, this is one of my favorite sayings. I use it all the time because in sales, it's like my number one thing. If you want somebody to do something for you, you got to create an advantage for them. And almost any situation you would give me, I could figure an advantage somehow. Even if it looks dark and there's just no advantage to them, in a minute or two, I would figure out an advantage for them. You just got to think. I did go over some of this just a little earlier, but we're going to save you time. We can make quick decisions. We're repeat work. Oh, and we'll reduce liability. There's no kids running around on the job site, the dog, friends coming over, none of that stuff. And a detailed scope of work. This saves time and eliminates gray areas. I'll get into this later, and this is the big one. No downtime, hassle-free, excellent communication. I'm easily available. And we're going to make them more efficient. And I'm going to show you how to make the contractor more efficient. Some of the benefits, again, continued, is I'm not a retail client. I work with other investors. I can refer other investors to that contractor. Predetermined scope of work. And I love to pay contractors. I do this every new contractor I meet when I go over this. I go, you know, and I love to pay contractors. And they all go, really? Yeah. That means you did your job and you did it efficiently, you got it done on time. Why wouldn't I? I don't want to hold money on you. That's not good. That means you didn't do something, or maybe you didn't do something up to par. So I love to pay contractors, and it's amazing the look on their face. So I'm excited for you guys to do that when you're talking to a contractor sometime. I want you to do that, okay? Can I get that amen on that? How about a kaboom on that?
Kaboom!
All right. Judah, you still back here?
Yeah?
Judah called me last week, and actually it was probably 3 weeks ago, and he was setting up this program in the computer on some website or something, and he put the password in, and I'm surprised he told me this. He put the password in as my penis. Immediately, errors came up on the screen and said, error, password not long enough.
He thinks he's funny.
You have to ask him, I don't know. When you're evaluating multiple bids from contractors, you got to make sure that it's apples to apples. So you want to give each contractor the same scope of work, each contractor the same information, so that they can bid it on a fairer scale when they're competing with each other.
That's funny.
Don't be afraid to negotiate if you think the price is too high, but don't nickel and dime them on every little thing. I have contractors that have been with me for 4 and 5 years now, which is really rare. Average lifespan of a contractor with a flipper is 2 years.
He does that every time he's here.
2 years. But because they're not doing it properly. But you guys are smarter than they are, because that's why you're here today, to learn how to do it right? All right. And rarely, do I ever pay anybody by the hour?
Oh, that's so
Who's paid people by the hour? I have too. And unless I'm there working with them, I don't do that anymore. So that means rarely do I ever pay anybody by the hour. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. You ever pay anybody by the hour? No. That was pretty firm no, wasn't it? All right.
If I can, sometimes I do.
Who's going to continue to pay people by the hour and not be on the job site?
Yeah. Sometimes they do, sometimes
Nobody? All right. Oh, one person?
Quick question for you. When you say you're evaluating bids, how many contractors are you typically bringing in? Are you bringing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Like, what's the...
I typically bring in 2.
2?
Swanson, what are you doing? 2 or 3?
I've used the same ones for 5 years. So.
Yeah, I know, because sometimes I only use 1. I said 2 because that was the right answer, but Swanson caught me on that one. Because I've been really 4 or 5 years. I know their prices they're not going to be gouging me. So
Starting out, you'd say 2.
oh yeah, 2 or 3, yeah, doesn't hurt. Make it easy though for them to evaluate your bid, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. All right. Don't try to read all that because it's boring. There are 6 documents that you're going to need to get signed on each rehab. Now these 6 critical documents, again, straight out of Fortune Builders. I have them on a Word doc, so I can put my company name in, get it all pre-filled, and do all that. And this is like the main agreement. And the independent contractor agreement basically spells out who the contractor is, who the client is. Spells out who's responsible for the trash. Who's responsible for locking the house up every night? Of course, the contractor. The cost of the project. If permits are to be obtained, who is going to pull it? Inspections. Who's going to handle when the township inspector comes out?
Boom.
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 Apparently you had that problem once. All right. Cleanup. Who's going to clean up? How I have to approve. I can't just say work to be done to my satisfaction. Well, that's pretty ambiguous, right? It can mean anything. So it spells it out a little bit that it's got to be the code and, blah, blah, blah. Invoicing and payments, how they're going to get paid.
Do you expect them to know the entire code book? I mean, where do you draw?
No. I expect when they do my work, they need to, most of them are going to know what code is, by the way. If it's an electrician, but if it's a general contractor and he's running some outlets for you and he's doing some plumbing for you, that kind of thing, most of them do that, the simple stuff. Most of them are going to do it to code if they're a quality contractor. But if they're newer, they can look it up. Just go online. An exterior electrical box for a dusted on light or something like that, it's a certain type of underground, the gray wire, and there's certain lights, for exterior, and they should be able to look that up. If they can't look that up, because that's their job to do it to code, you probably want to hire another contractor. Change orders. This is a big one. Man, there are lots of times you get into a project and they come to you and say, look, we're not going to be able to do it the way you wanted to because this beam is a structural beam and this over here, and then we got this, and the kitchen layout, and sometimes you have to change things. I've been guilty of it too, I got to admit. Most people will just say, okay, work it out, and send me the bill for that little, for the extra. You really should put it in writing as far as that change order, what you want done, and how much it's going to cost extra. Or maybe it could be a deduction. He's not going to have to do near the work that was originally put out there for the scope of work. So maybe he can knock 500 or 1,000 off the bill. It can go either way. Cancellation, if the client reserves the right to cancel the agreement because the contractor is not doing what they're supposed to. They don't usually like this part, that paragraph there. And remember, red minivan. And penalties. The penalty against the contractor, what could happen. Warranty, waiver, arbitration. There is an arbitration clause in there that if you do get into a pissing match with the contractor. And that's pretty much it for the independent contractor form. Anybody have any questions? Nobody has any questions. All right.
Do you get a lot of pushback from the contractor about signing a document like that?
One time I had a guy not want to sign it, and we shook hands, parted friends. If they can't sign my documents, I'm not going to hire them. My documents are spell everything out. They're meant to be fair to the client and the contractor. And there's no reason for them not to sign it. I had a few other raised concerns. We went over everything, and then they were satisfied.
Right. Exactly.
They're going to do what they say they're going to do. They shouldn't have a problem signing it. They will always, always try to get you to sign their paperwork. And it's loosey-goosey if you read it. It doesn't spell any of this stuff out. Not one. Other than how much they get paid. That'll be in there. It doesn't say how long they're going to take, what happens if it goes past that date.
So do you sign theirs, or do you get them to just let theirs go and sign?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Do you sign their paperwork as well?
No, that would convolute things. You just do your paperwork, you got it all covered. In this, I have 2 independent contractors forms. The one I use has what's called a drop dead date in it. And that drop dead date says if the project goes past a certain day, so much comes out of the contractor's last draw each day until he's finished. Now you want to hear him squeal a little bit now? That's the one that's going to do it right there. So how I handle that is I'm sitting with the contractor. I go, how long is this going to take you? 6 weeks. Great. 6 weeks, that's good. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 7 weeks. I'm going to give you 1 extra week. But, this is my favorite part, the but part. If you go past this day, then so much comes out of your final draw each day. And how do we know how much that house costs us each day? Cha-ching, you figured it up earlier, right? You know what that house costs you per day. So I usually add $3 or $4 on it per day just as a little cushion. And that's what and I actually lost a contractor because he was late in getting the job done. And I would never do it for a couple days. But it was 3 weeks late. So I whacked him. He was off doing other jobs. And he hasn't done a job for me since, which I'm okay with, because his work wasn't that great anyway.
Do you specify your money draws in the contract?
Yes.
And then what generally, what
Oh, not this one.
materials?
You're just getting ahead of me, girl. Don't apologize. The scope of work. This is your second most important document you can get filled out. The scope of work spells out exactly what you want. This document can take a okay or a good contractor and you can make him a great contractor. Because what you're going to do is eliminate all gray area. There's no guesswork. You're going to spell everything out so that at the end of the job, there isn't any, well, I thought you wanted it done this way. No, I told you I wanted it done, and then you get into a pissing match, and you ain't getting paid your last draw till you do that. Does anybody really want to get into that drama at the end of a job? It sucks. I've been there. It ain't no fun, let me tell you. So this eliminates all that because you're eliminating the gray area. There's nothing to argue about. So I might walk into the master bedroom when I'm filling out my scope of work and there's 2 cracks in the ceiling. I say, okay, master bedroom ceiling, 2 cracks, dig out cracks, patch with tape, 3 coats, sand and how do you screw that up? If he puts 2 coats on, he violated the scope of work, right? And most of them will try to get away with that. The color of paint you want on the trim, the finish, the walls, the ceilings, do you want flat? What do you want in the bathrooms? Towel bars, all that stuff. Especially at first because they don't know if you want a $1,000 vanity in there or a $350 vanity. So you gotta either, if the contractor's gonna buy all the materials, you gotta put the whole material list in there. And most of them aren't going to sit there and look up all that stuff on the internet. So you're going to have that already figured out. Here's what it costs. And if you're doing every job the same, the first one sucks, right? But after that, it becomes repetitious. It's the same thing. You just take the form, you just change a few names on it and address and scope of work, and you're good, right?
So for the scope of work, you're going to have to lay out the details of where they buy the product, because you're picking out the products in advance, like if you want to get piping in. What exactly?
Most contractors, and I tried to do it this way for me, and I'm not doing $400,000 or $500,000 flips. Most of the contractors I'm using do not want to get into that. They're just, just have it delivered. So what I did is, in my independent contractor form, I put in there that I'm going to pay for vanities, kitchen cabinets, countertops, sinks, faucets, anything that I can account for, I pay for. So I'll just order it through Lowe's or Home Depot and they deliver it. I do not pay for anything that I can't account for, such as 2x4s, trim, nails, caulk. When I used to pay for everything, every house took a whole case of caulk. How does that happen? And when the job's done, there ain't no caulk left. I paid for it. I'm expecting to get 4 or 5 tubes of caulk, and it's like all gone. They needed 6 nails or screws, and they went out and bought a 5-pound thing, box of them. But at the end of the job, the screws aren't there. They take it with them. One of the oldest tricks in the book for a contractor is, and again, red minivan, is you're getting the family room finished. They're saying it's going to take 88 2x4s. Well, how the hell are you going to know how many 2x4s that family room is going to take? Well, guess what? It took 68. They took the 20 with them to the next job, and then charged that person for those 2x4s again. They got paid twice just on the 2x4s.
How do you eliminate that?
Don't pay for it.
How can you prove it?
I don't pay for the wood. I don't pay for 2x4s. Nope.
They charge you for it and say you got it?
I say figure that in your total bill, your total proposal. So I have them pay for the caulk and the nails and the screws and the compound, joint compound, drywall. I don't pay for any of that stuff. I pay for the stuff that's more expensive and accountable for. Kitchen cabinets, vanities, faucets, granite countertops, flooring, lighting. That's the kind of stuff. Because if they order 6 lights, I can go in and count 6 lights, okay? Right? It's easy to account for. Doorknobs, I'll pay for them because they order 20 new sets of doorknobs, because we're going from brushed nickel from brass to brushed nickel. I can go in and count how many doorknobs are in the house, so I know that I'm getting treated fairly. That make sense? The scope of work, though, it's evidence of what you and your contractor agreed upon. Again, so there's no pissing matches when you're done. It demonstrates professionalism and credibility to the contractor, and it is a great way to impress your hardened private money lenders. You notice how I keep going back to the money? You do it the right way. Whose money are you protecting? Not yours, right, Alan? You're protecting that lender, whether it's you or somebody else. Judah used to do hard money with Bruce, right?
Yep.
If somebody came in and they're just a mess, all discombobulated with their paperwork, and they didn't know what they were doing, how confident are you going to be to loan that person that money?
Very, not very at all.
Yeah, very. Especially if it's your first couple houses.
Right.
You better look good, because you got to sell that lender. You got to sell that lender to give you the money, so you can do this.
Can you have the contractor somewhere in there when you work with a new contractor or somebody new to you? Can you review their work as they're working? Can that be in the scope of work that you have the opportunity to do that? Prime example, I was helping somebody do a rehab after a fire, and they had a contractor come in, recommended all that good person and all that. He started to put in inferior products, and we were concerned about code and, later on, is this gonna hold up and stuff? So we stopped him and we reviewed it, and he wasn't too upset with it. I mean, it's okay, but we had to rehash the work.
Okay, what
What do we do?
what was not suitable or substandard?
Well, he was going home and borrowing nails and things from his own home on a project he's working on, and not what we bought. So we thought he was gonna be taking the other stuff that we bought home and,
Probably, but and he was
Right,
probably
so-
using up what he had at his house. And as long as those screws and nails are to code, it's okay.
Okay, well,
But
we weren't sure about that at first. And we still are.
but it is kind of strange if you bought them and had them there. Why he didn't just use yours?
Use them.
But again, if you don't buy them, you don't have to really worry about it.
No, we bought them, or well, the family bought them, the person bought them.
But I mean, if you structure it that the contractor pays for that, and they have to buy them, and it has to be to code, that's on them then.
No, the people thought they had money for the insurance money, they bought it. And I was just helping with cleanup and stuff, so, and I was just concerned about certain things happening and questioning it. And I didn't know if you could do that in the scope of work.
You can do anything you want. You can write in anything you want,
So
basically.
you can say, I'd like to review your work, and you put that in the scope of work.
Sure, you can go there every day and inspect the project. You can hire a lot of people when they're building a house. If they're building it themselves as a GC, they might not know that much about building a house, but they'll hire a retired contractor and hire them as their consultant. And that's the consultant's job to go to that job every day. It's just the same as like if I had to have a project manager. That project manager is the one that's dealing with the contractors, going out, inspecting the work, making sure it's done on time, coming back to the office and saying, yeah, he's ready for a draw, he's completed, that portion of the scope of work. So he's ready for a draw. Doesn't have to be you. It just has to be somebody. Preferably somebody with some construction knowledge. And again, a detailed scope of work will make a good contractor a great contractor. Going to keep them focused, on point, and again, no gray area. I can't stress this enough. And this is what the Fortune Builders format looks like. You can see it's pretty detailed. Landscaping, the roof, exterior, general, all the paints to be used, that type of thing. Windows and glass doors, general kitchen. It's all spelled out. Again, don't leave any room for error. Master bath, kids bath, half bath, bedrooms, plumbing, electrical. Any questions on the scope of work before I move on?
Are you walking through it yourself, or do you have like a contractor with you?
Me personally?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've been around construction all my life, so I walk through myself. But for people who haven't been that lucky, I'll say, it's not a bad idea, because some people will walk through, but they really don't know what they're looking at. And it's okay. Not everybody grew up around it like I did. So get somebody, hire somebody, a consultant, to go out with you and inspect it and make sure that, especially the first couple times you've dealt with the contractor. It's a good idea, really good idea. Thanks for bringing that up, actually. The other one, the other form is the insurance indemnification agreement. The contractor has to provide insurance. Never get it from the contractor. This is a good tip, because they can alter that thing 6 ways to Sunday. Have the insurance company that they have their insurance with email it to you. And once you get it, you send them an email back that says, if they cancel this agreement, I need to know, because they're going to be working on my house. And yeah, because some contractors do that, especially on the bigger jobs where it could be a warehouse on a rubber roof. And you know how expensive insurance is for roofers. It's really expensive. So some of these guys will cut costs where they can. They'll get a policy, a week later they cancel it. That's why you want the insurance company to let you know. Again, if somebody falls off the building and breaks their back, who are they coming to? I 100% guarantee you the attorneys are going to take as many people down as they can, because that's what they do. And they're looking for deep pockets. Yep.
What exactly kind of insurance are you looking for?
A minimum of $1 million.
That's liability?
Alan, how about you? Yeah. Minimum? I'd like to see 2, but minimum's usually. Because you're going to have insurance on it too. And you're going to make sure you have rehab insurance. Yes, a lot of people, how about it, Alan? A lot of people make this mistake. They just, call the insurance agents, bought this house, and I need insurance. But if you don't tell that agent that you're doing a whole rehab on it, that's a different insurance. You want to make sure your materials are covered if somebody breaks in, steals all the appliances or the kitchen cabinets or whatever it is. And you also want liability if somebody gets hurt. So, but you got to let them know. Very important.
Is that different than a vacant, like a vacant?
Yes, yes. Because a vacant house is just sitting there. It doesn't have new appliances, kitchen cabinets sitting in there, and there's nobody working on the roof. Kaboom! We got a little kaboom there. You can do better than that.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that.
The other one's the W-9 form. This is better than 1099 in them. You want to do the W-9. And I forget 100% of exactly the reason that it's better than the 1099. Do you remember, Judah, from?
Yeah, if you fill out a 1099 wrong, the IRS won't fine you $1,000 per error for everybody that you filled out a 1099 for incorrectly in the previous year. Ask me how I know. So I used to just get everybody to, if I'm paying somebody, I knew I needed to give them a 1099, so I would just say, hey, Jason, what's your 1099, or do you just do DBA? Is it under your name, or should I put it in your social or whatever? Great, and I'd put that down in my system. And if it was wrong, it was my fault. If you fill out a W-9 wrong, though, and send it to me, the IRS isn't mad at me anymore because I can show them the W-9.
And these forms are really simple to. I mean, I fill them out, so they're not hard. You don't need a college degree. How many people went to college in here? Oh, pretty good number. I went to college. Longest week of my life. I tell you what, it was bad. The final and unconditional waiver of lien. I missed a part. That insurance identification was to make sure that they have insurance, but they were also waiving any liability on their part if they get hurt. It was also a waiver. This is what you get them to sign before you give them that check at the end. Because this way, for some reason, they can't, if they get a bone up their butt about you, because you dated his sister and that didn't go well, whatever the case is, they can't go down to the courthouse and file a mechanic's lien. So you get that signed before you hand them the check. I'm sorry?
Let's say they're doing 4 draws through the job. You have them sign that for every time.
Yeah, they won't. A smart one won't sign it in the beginning. I've gotten the paperwork signed with contractor where I just threw it in there and they've signed it before they even started work. But a smart one's going to go, wait a minute. What if you don't pay me? Then I'm waiving my rights.
But when you pay them for a draw, you say, I want you to.
Oh no, it's at the end.
Why would you?
Payment schedule. This is a document that spells out when you pay them and what they have to complete to get that payment. So first draw might be, demo house, carpets, vinyl, kitchens, cabinets, bathrooms, whatever you're demoing. Maybe, minor plumbing and electrical, get that completed. Okay, that's the first draw, boom. Second draw, same thing. Third, I typically do 4 draws. Anybody do more than 4? Less than 4? 3?
So some of the work that we've had done on our rental property, we didn't pay until the work was completed, and it was just, it could have been like 500 down and then the rest upon completion.
I'm glad you brought that up. What was the total cost of that job?
We just had a sidewalk repaired where they ripped up the concrete and put new in, and it was about $6,300.
Okay. Yeah, you're fine at that amount, but when it's 40,000, 30,000, they're not going to wait 6-7 weeks to get paid because they got to pay their guys. They're going to need draws, and typically 4. But I would only just do 1 payment as well.
Well, I was just getting ready to say that some contractors like the money up front. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I love that. I was going to get to that, but I'm glad because that was a good timing. The law states they can only charge 1/3 up front. Now that doesn't mean you got to give it to them. If they are buying excessive amounts of materials, I really don't know what excessive is, but I think that's how it's stated. If they're buying a lot of materials for the job, I mean a lot, they can charge half. So in that interview process, when I'm sitting with a contractor, I ask them about that, and excuse me. When they say, well, we want $10,000 up front or $8,000 up front, I say, no, I can't do that. I say, you've got to go and do some work first. But I'm going to be putting out a lot of money. If I'm paying for the dumpster and I'm paying for the cabinets and the granite and the appliances and the flooring, how much money are you putting out? Most people go to work for a week. At the end of the week, they get paid, right? They don't get paid Monday, they get paid Friday. Well, the contractor can get paid Friday too. Especially if you just started working with the contractor. Show up first, do some work. The most that I could possibly screw you out of is 1 week or 10 days of work, and you haven't hardly any materials. It's a pretty easy sell on that one. I haven't had too much problems with that. Show up. Prove to me, I'm credible. I've got a running business, I don't really know you that well. I just met you. I looked at your website, but that was pretty lame.
Have you had instances that you had to fire somebody after a week of work and they haven't been paid?
Have I ever had to fire somebody after a week or 10 days of work?
Because the quality of work was not up to par.
Well, usually that first week to 10 days, it's demo, it's maybe outside work, with a yard, cutting down bushes or whatever the case is. It's maybe doing some electrical work, unless they're not doing it to code. I mean, electrical work's electrical work. It's just, not that tough. I don't like to deal with it because I don't like getting shocked. But no, I never had to do that. Because I always get them to do the work first and then I pay them at the end. It's, the carrot at the end of the stick propels the horse and they keep running towards the carrot, right? You pay them ahead of time, what's their motivation to show up the next day? None. You just took their motivation away. You made an average contractor a bad one. What's our job? To make an average contractor great. And we have the ability to do that. We have the knowledge, we have the paperwork, but you got to follow the system that's in place. When I follow this, I never have any trouble. Seriously, 100% never have any trouble. When I get lazy and I get busy and I don't get the paperwork done, that's where the gray area comes in. The scope of work wasn't as detailed as it should have been. And we get into a little, disagreement. So again, scope of work, scope of work, scope of work.
Do I need to make them sign these documents even for like a small job?
Great question. He asked if, even on a small job, like I'm getting a deck built on my house, do I need to get these documents signed? Yeah, you should. Especially if they're doing anything off of a ladder or anything where they could really get hurt. But you should, if you want to protect yourself almost 100%, get them signed all the time. Again, no gray area. And if you ever have to go to court, and you're sitting in there and you've got your file, you've got all your documents, boom, 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 all in order, everything's right here on paper, you can document it. And the contractor comes in and he's got a shoebox full of paperwork and receipts, and my attorney's gonna rip him a new butthole, and he's gonna get him pissed off, and he's gonna get freaking wild and start throwing his arms around. And I'm gonna sit there calm, respectful, organized. Who do you think the judge is gonna favor? Every time. Every time. Another reason to have all your paperwork and documentation in order. You know what I'd say? I'd say, well, let's review all these documents and tell me why. If there's any that you don't want to sign, tell me why, and we'll talk about it. Just get into a conversation. Find out why. Most of the time, they have these fears, but if you can get it out and talk about it and explain to them, these documents are fair for both buyer and seller. Why wouldn't you want to sign them? They're the ones that are unprofessional when they have this one-page proposal that basically says, I'm going to put a new 30-year roof on for you. Cost is this. And that's all it is.
Hey, Harry, real quick, I found putting the word standard in front of whatever the title of the document is helps me get a whole lot less pushback. Just for...
Standard independent contractor form.
Right.
Actually, I like that. Chad.
So, like with a rubber roof, like I've learned over time, like what to look for.
Uh-huh.
But I still, maybe don't know exactly like where the flashing and if a certain tape should be used and yada yada. How do you ensure that it's done properly until you realize 4 years later when another roof comes down and says, oh, this guy never did it right in the first place?
When you did your contractor interview process, you got some referrals, right? Jobs that he did, other contractors that he works with. You can call those other contractors. Hey, I'm thinking of doing a job with this guy. Does he do things to code? Does he do it right? They may, have beers at the bar together, the electrician and the plumbing contractor, but when he's talking to you directly, they don't want to lie to you, so they say, well, you got to keep your eye on him. Keep your eye on him, he'll do okay. Oh, that was crazy last week, wasn't it? Chad and I, we went out for a few beers, and I told my wife I'm going out with Chad for a few beers, and my wife said, well, how long are you going to be gone? I said, the whole time. So on the way home, sure enough, we got pulled over. And cop said, hey, I'm legally drunk. I said, legally drunk? I said, what's the problem? You guys are slow up here. God. But Chad, when he was younger, he used to, and let's give Chad a hand for putting on the podcast. All right, he's the man. A lot of people don't know Chad or don't know this about him, but when he was younger, he used to drink a lot. I mean, a lot. Tons of alcohol. So now, when you turn his driver's license over, there's a list of organs that he needs. True story. Oh, yeah. I forgot about you. Sorry.
So you mentioned earlier that if you're doing this for your first, second, third time, or whatever, and you're not exactly sure on your scope of work just because you've never done it before, right? You suggested that you hire somebody to consult you. Now, who would you recommend to do that type of thing, and where do you find that person? I think you said that you would get another contractor to kind of be your consultant.
But not one in the business. Retired.
Retired.
Those are my favorite because they're just laying around. They're not doing anything. They'll a few dollars, spending money, walking around money. They just want something to do.
What's a reasonable price to pay somebody?
I don't know. I never paid anybody. You got to be honest. I don't know. It's whatever you guys can agree on. If they're going to, excellent question. Depends on how often they're going to visit the job and what you want them to do. You want them to go once a week, twice a week, every day? You want them to be the liaison between you and the contractor, or are you going to deal with the contractor directly and you're just going to get information in your ear about that project and then you're going to talk? So it's whatever you want them to do. It's the more you want them to do, the more you're going to have to pay them. I would think somewhere between 1,000, 2,000, depends on how much work you want them to do. Has anybody hired one before? Or?
Yeah, I use them all the time.
Do you?
Because I use them for my inspections. So I usually do $250 to $350 per draw. They're the ones that go out and do my inspections. Now I never needed them for setting up the scope of work, but they would be a great person. I would hire people like Alan all the time, people who were known rehabbers, guys who I knew, liked, and trusted. And I said, Alan, listen, I need somebody to do the inspections on this property. I'll pay you $250 per draw. You go out, take a look at it, tell me if they did X, Y, Z, take 10 or 15 pictures, email them over to me, and then I can do that. I was certainly capable of doing that, but I had $7 million worth of hard money on the street. I couldn't do all my own inspections. And so I had people who I know, liked, and trusted did those. And I would say that that you should be able to find people for a $250 consulting fee up front and then $150 to $250 per inspection. That would kind of be my frequency that I would go with that. Yeah, Harry would do that for you. If you're doing a flip in down there, say, Harry, listen, I'd love to work with you. It'll develop our relationship more. Can I pay you $250 to write up my scope of work? And can I pay you $250 per inspection? Harry would probably do that.
So there's ways to do these rehabs, and that's why we're here, and that's why we're talking about it and getting input, because Judah might do things a little bit differently than me, but it's still right. Yeah. Typically, I do my own inspections, but sometimes I can't make it. I'm busy, and on Friday, guess what the contractor, when he comes to our office, he's got his hand out. And it's been 3-4 days, and I didn't get to the job to view that. I won't do it so much with a brand new guy, but my seasoned contractors that I'm using, I just say, what? I don't have my phone on me. Send me pictures, right? Send me a video. If it's easily visible with a camera, I don't need to go. I go, okay, yep, the drywall's hung. I know if the drywall's hung or not. They got first coat on the joints. He's walking around, right? Okay, I'm going to release his draw. I don't even have to go. Technology.
How easy to find the documents you've been talking about all night?
I'm sorry?
How easy is it to find the documents that you were talking about?
We're going to get to that a little bit too. I'm glad you asked, though. So when you're sitting down, and we touched upon this before, when you're sitting down and you're signing the documents, control the process. Be the professional. Sign all the docs in a controlled environment, preferably your office. If you have a home office, make sure it's free of all distractions. Just 3 of them, that's it. The one's okay. And set the expectations right then and there how you want to communicate. Do you want to communicate every other day? Do you want it text? Do you want it email? Do you want a phone call? Take care of it up front so you're not in a pissing match later. 2 to 3 times a week is usually about the minimum. You're going to want to communicate with them. Now, if you're doing multiple rehabs, there are software programs out there today for contractor management, and you put all the information in on this house. You give all your contractors, the electrician, the plumber, the GC, their portal access, and they go in and they can talk to each other. Hey, I'm going to be done the electrical in 2 days. You can have it after that. And you can see what the communication, and then you can communicate with all that. I don't have it, I don't use it, use one, but for people who are doing a lot of rehabs, do you have one out? You know about them though, I'm sure. So they're really cool, and it keeps everybody on track. And then you make the contractor go in and fill something out every day that they're working there. Plus, if they don't show up that day, they don't put anything in, they didn't show up.
Harry, I have a question. You said that only a third of the money that you owe them can be legally asked for up front.
Unless they're paying for excessive amounts of materials.
What if we signed a document that said all the draws come at the start of electrical, at the start of framing, at the start of excavation? We signed a document not knowing that he wasn't going to finish each of those. So legally, that document that we signed says at the start of your projects, we pay. And now we're saying, look,
You're involved in this rehab right now?
Yes.
Ah. Too bad this class or presentation wasn't a month ago. Oh, there's her kaboom right there. Hopefully you got an honest contractor. And,
We don't.
Oh, that sucks.
Over $200,000 project.
Oh, that's.
Because my husband and I built our house, and the bank is the one who set up the draws. They determined, we went through members first. So members first had to send an inspector out before our contractor would even get their money released.
Okay, you just said it. She had a construction loan with a bank, and a construction loan, typically, they will pay the contractor the draws. They will send an inspector out. You pay for the inspection fee, right? But they'll send an inspector out. And when the inspector says, yeah, the work's done, they get what? They get paid. It's no different than what I'm doing. Same thing.
Ours is private money. There's no bank involved.
And you may get it, but you may have to go to court to do it. And it's what we don't want to do. We want to stay out of court, so we want to do everything in a preemptive strike to stay out of court. And again, I'd love to pay contractors.
Who's the contractor?
No, I'm not going to mention.
You should.
See us afterwards, we'd be very glad to share it with you. No one should have to go through what we
That really, my heart goes out. I really feel bad because one of the things I love about doing this presentation is because I know it will help people. And I know it'll save people's asses someday. I just wish I could have got to you a little sooner. That's Judah's fault. He's the one that scheduled it. I was supposed to do last month, but.
It's been over a year, so.
You do real estate, so you do DocuSigns all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever use DocuSign for any of your dealings with the contractors?
No, I haven't yet. I like to face-to-face. Now, again, if it's somebody I've been using for 3 years, yeah, we could. I wouldn't ever do it with a guy I've only used maybe once or twice. I'd want to get with them. And there might be things you want to discuss about the house, little fine-tuning things. Now, you can do everything that I told you tonight. And I guarantee you, if you do enough rehab, sooner or later this is going to happen. A contractor is going to come to you before they completed that portion of their scope of work, and they're going to want money. I guarantee it. Their dog got run over, their car broke down, their grandmother's in the hospital, million excuses. So it took some time, but I finally worked a script out what to say to these contractors when they come with their hand out asking for money before their scope of work's completed for that draw. Everybody have a pen and paper? I want you to write this down. So here's what I tell them. When they ask me, I say, no. 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 Get the damn work done, I'll pay you. Simple. I'm a simple guy. Get the work done. No, I'm not frickin' paying you. Why would I do that? That's just crazy. Anybody else have any questions on that? And when you set those expectations ahead of time, down the road, you have less problems because they know what to expect. And you've agreed on it. Hell, it's in writing, right? They can't argue. You signed it. If you didn't want to agree to it, you shouldn't have signed it. At any start of any rehab, you want to assess your risk. What type of neighborhood is it? I mean, tools get stolen all the time, especially if it's in a rougher neighborhood. You do not want to leave, a 12-inch compound miter saw that's, $400 or $500 sitting in the living room on a stand with no curtains on the windows. First of all, you don't want to leave it there anyway, usually. But it's a pain in the ass for the contractor to load that up every day. And but you got to know where you're doing the rehab. Is it less crime in that neighborhood or more crime? If it's more crime, most tell the contractors to take their valuable tools with them at night, and maybe you want to put up cameras. The cameras today aren't very expensive, so it's a really good idea. See who's coming and gone. Also a way to see if your contractor showed up that day.
Have you ever done cameras?
I have not. So it's a good idea.
What was the question?
About cameras on properties. If it's maybe a neighborhood there's a crime rate's a little higher, you might want to put cameras up. I actually was on the internet a couple days ago looking at them because I want to do that. I want to get it so it's on my phone. So if, somebody around the house at nighttime, boop, you get the alert. Well, you're going to address that on your initial interview process. Do they have their own tools? You're not going to be responsible for their tools.
Right, but is it in writing? Should it be put in that first document?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure.
Can't hurt them. Like if they choose to leave it behind, it's on them.
I've had contractors have their tools stolen on the job before. One time they had a van that was locked up. They broke into the van. But, they never said boo to me about it. I think most contractors know that's their risk. They could have took it home with them. Good question, though. Good food for thought.
If they have the rehab insurance, does that cover things that are stolen and?
Not if it's the contractors. I'm pretty sure. Alan, do you know that? I don't think it's your stuff.
Correct.
What was that?
I asked Steve, he's my insurance agent. He's the best one I've ever talked to. Correct. Your insurance policy is not going to pay for your contract.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
The contractor has rehab insurance, you check that out.
Okay.
Would that cover their tools? Maybe.
Policies can be written different ways, but for the most part, you're talking about their liability insurance. Property insurance is a completely different matter that they should have on their policy if they want to insure their stuff.
If it's
have an insurable interest in their tools. So, it's their property.
If they have property insurance that cover that, if somebody else comes in with their stuff in and they're using it in your property, is there coverage for that? To kick it out of court, so to speak.
I hear what you're saying, but an insurance carrier isn't gonna, your insurance company isn't gonna want to insure his stuff.
Again, he should take his stuff home at night. I mean, I wouldn't leave my valuable tools there. I might leave, a drill or something, but I'm not going to leave anything of real value there, no matter what neighborhood it's in. I'll take 10 minutes to load my stuff up and 10 minutes to unload it in the morning. You can put up, warning signs, no trespassing, and be properly insured. We did touch upon this. You want a rehab policy. Renovators insurance, or a builder's risk policy, it's called. And also, it's vacant. Now, my insurance agent always wants to know about roughly what we're spending on the rehab. $40,000, $30,000, $50,000, because if it's a high amount, they may have to, bump that up a little bit, right? Yeah. And to the insurance agents out there, I drive a red minivan. Insurance companies are always looking for reasons not to pay you. Not the agents, but the mothership. Make sure they know it's vacant and you're going to be rehabbing it. Tell them so you can get the proper coverage. And actually, if you don't tell them, that's your fault, especially since you've been here. And a builder's risk policy is designed to cover properties only while under construction. Make sure to add the vacant dwellings policy to the builder's risk as well. Again, if you have an open trench, put up the fence around it, put signs up. Be smart about it, protect yourself. Don't leave yourself out there for inviting things to happen. Protect your lenders, whether, banks are going to require it, but your private and hard money lenders might not be well versed in all this stuff. Maybe yours weren't, I don't know. But we want to protect their money, because you told them you were going to protect their money, right? These hard money, right? And private money. If you go to your uncle to borrow $100,000 to rehab a house or apartment building or whatever it is, he's going to want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to protect his money. And make sure that the lender, hard or private money, well, the hard money is going to require it, but the private lender is also listed on the policy as a loss payee. Need to do that. Loss payee. That means they get paid first in an insurance claim because they got the most amount of money in it, right?
Well, they have a financial interest in it, and that way at least the insurance company will, whenever it comes time to adjust a claim, they'll say, who has an interest in this? Before they go and send you a check, they at least have an interest in it.
And if it's on the policy, there's no questions asked. They're going to say, hey, I'm owed $80,000. Okay, you get paid $80,000, and then I would get paid the rest. Does anybody not know the difference between a hard money and a private lender? A hard money lender is a professional who is well versed in lending money. It's their job. That's what they're doing as a job, if you will. I mean, it might not be their main job, but they know what to look for. They're going to look, at you and the asset. They're going to charge you a higher rate of interest, probably charge you points. So they're a pro. That's the hard money lender. A private lender is your sister's cousin's uncle's aunt, twice removed, who is not in the business of loaning money, may have never loaned anybody money for a rehab or a house, but presented with the right opportunity, just might loan you the money.
Hard money lender drives a red minivan.
I'm sorry? That's a good one, touche. So that's the difference. And the private lender doesn't know about getting listed as the lost payee on his insurance policy. You told your uncle you'd protect his money. You're the pro, you've got to doing it the right way. So this is really, 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 really important, okay? Really important. Really important, right?
Lost payees also get notification when policies are canceled. So
That's true.
it's in their best interest to have the...
Can I get a kaboom in the back?
Kaboom.
There you go. Again, security cameras. You can leave a dog, a pit bull in the house or a Doberman or something. Keep exterior lights on. Change the locks when you buy a house. Don't leave valuable tools on the job overnight. Educate your team. This pisses me off more than anything when I go past my house at 7 at night and there's a freaking window open. Or the back garage door is unlocked. I know this never happened to Alan. Oh. And I said, okay, you're the contractor, you're the boss. If you're not here, who's in charge? There has to be a number 2 man. That number 2 man is responsible for going around, making sure all the windows are shut every day, the damn doors are locked, and yet I give that speech and it still happens. But you got to stay on them. Drives me crazy. Make sure the job's cleaned up. I hate to see guys working over dirt every day. Clean it up. I might have to bring somebody through. I might have to bring my private lender through. I might have to bring a potential buyer through. I want it to look decent. It's just, I hate when people are working over top of dirt. Clean it up a little bit every day, the job site. Plus, they won't trip over something and break their ankle. Oh, ask me how I know about this one. Don't put the appliances into the very end, especially if they're in the damn stainless steel ones. I had a guy go by with his tool belt in and scratch that hammer the whole way across. They were carrying something. Not fun. You want to get into a pissing match with a contractor. It's like, hey, dude, you did it. It's your refrigerator. Buy me a new one. But yeah, just have them delivered. Like, they don't have to be delivered ahead of time. They can be delivered last. You ever have any damaged appliances? It happens, yeah. It's more likely to happen if they're there too soon. And if you do, make sure they're somewhere in the living room and the stainless steel parts are facing away from anybody. Ask me how I know, right? Oh yeah, it scratches the whole way across. And making sure you get your entity, whether it's a limited partnership or LLC or whatever it is, S Corp you're doing, make sure you're protected that way as well. We don't like to see people typically put stuff in their personal name. We already went over the verifying that, getting the insurance company to send it to you. I'm going to skip that one because we're getting a little tight on time because Judah spent so much time talking earlier today. The process is you're going to use your scope of work, make a checklist. You're going to meet with your staff at least a minimum of once a week, twice a week's better. First thing you're going to do is demo, and nobody, if you're paying for the dumpster, guess what? Those contractors, laborers, I could fit twice the amount of stuff in a dumpster as what they can get in. I look and there's dressers in there that haven't been, sledgehammered down so they lay flat. Oh yeah, they just toss it in and throw it over. So I tell them, I say, this should be enough to handle this whole if you have to buy another dumpster and get rid of the trash, is on you. And make sure you put that in writing. Then is the rough-in plumbing and electrical. After these two are done, you're going to put insulation in. After the insulation's in, you're going to install drywall. And then you're going to put the trim up. You're going to paint, put tile, vinyl, carpets, cabinets, vanities. Sizzle features, hardwood floors, gooseneck faucets, recessed lights, wine refrigerators are a big one. Dimmer lights, I love dimmer lights. islands, stainless steel appliances, and then you clean it and stage it. The average home that's staged after a rehab gets 26%, or excuse me, sells 26% faster. And if it sells faster, you made more money because cha-ching, cha-ching. Now, somebody asked me about these documents earlier. I'm going to provide them to anyone who wants them for free. Really. And they'll be in a Word doc, so you can change them. So do you think that could save you some money and help you, propel you to take that risk to move forward to do that first rehab? Because now you know what to do, and you have the proper documents, right? Right? Harrisburg crew is tough up here. The only thing I ask is you don't leave today without saying hi to me. And, there's always an and, if you ever have any questions, you can call 1-800-WILL-PAY. Our office phone number is 717-318-5413, or you can email me at hnaill, Naill spelled with 2 L's, Naill, at comcast.net, hnaill at comcast.net. Just email me, and I will send you those docs. Well, my gals will. If you ever have any questions in real estate, you think you got a deal, you might want to sell that deal, or give me a call. I'm always looking for properties. I'm always looking to help people out, just like Judah does. I'm very approachable, and I'll always get back to you within 24 hours. And last but not least, everybody has the opportunity to be great. In the womb, everybody was equal. Everybody was equal. But what happened? Why aren't people equal once they pop out? Our environment, right? Our parents. Our parents screwed us up. Not on purpose. They didn't know any better. All right? Oh, pay your house off, boy. You don't want any debt. No debt, They old school, especially if they were, blue collar. My dad was a plastering contractor, went to the 8th grade. Did really well for himself, though, but he's a very street smart guy. So, education doesn't matter. Let me rephrase that. Education matters, but not as much as you think. What really matters is using that education and executing a game plan. Knowledge is what?
Power.
Bullshit. What did I just tell you guys? It's not. Knowledge isn't power. Power is when you take that knowledge and you formulate a game plan and you execute on it. That's power. That's when you get something done. You don't need to have a college degree. I only had 1 week. First thing you got to do, you got to take on that little voice between your ears, and everybody has it. I have it. You can't do that. Yeah, you can. You can't do that. And everybody has it, right? You've all heard it. And that's that voice of doubt. How you remove that voice of doubt is by getting an education in your field. The more you get educated about a process or a system or a business, that takes that fear away, and that allows you to take that step forward. So I really want to see everybody who hasn't done a rehab, bought a flip or a rental property who wants to, within the next 12 months, accomplish that goal. That would make me really happy. Because fear takes you out of your comfort zone. And to be successful, you need to be what? Uncomfortable. Climb out on that branch to get that fruit. It's risky. It's uncomfortable. I might fall. We all felt the same at one point in time. I didn't start out with the properties I have. I had to buy one, that first one, like everybody else. There's a winner and loser in all of us. The whole rich dad, poor dad thing. Everybody read that book? A lot of people, yeah. We all have both. But the successful people learn how to manage that little voice in their head. That's that voice of doubt. That's the guy on the left shoulder, right? That's telling you can't do it, you're not educated enough, you're not smart enough, you know, whatever the case. Recognize the voice in your head and own it. Take positive steps. Most people's competition, the biggest competition they have is themselves. They get in their own way. It's time to rise above the murkiness of mediocrity. The past doesn't matter, you learn from it. You learn from your mistakes. And trust me, I made every mistake in the book. But I didn't quit. I got up out of the dust, dusted myself off, and I moved on, and I learned from my mistakes. Slow and steady progress, and you'll reach your goals. I promise you one thing, if you do nothing in the next 12 months, I know where you're going to be. You're going to be sitting right here. Your financial future is going to be the same as it was right now because you didn't take action. You didn't formulate that game plan and execute upon it. And that's what Jude and I want everybody to do. I want to thank you for being such a great audience. Could have been a little noisier.
Yeah, thank you very much, Harry. Just absolutely great content, and appreciate you being here. And I got to tell you, you definitely want to either A, talk to Harry tonight, or B, get in touch with Harry and tell him how much you like that content and ask him for those documents so you can get them. That's all I have for tonight, guys. I'm going to close, but I just want you to know sincerely how much I recognize that there's a lot of other places you could have been tonight, and you chose here to be with me, and I don't take that lightly. And I genuinely appreciate everyone here in this room. And if there is ever anything I can do for any of you, all you got to do is give me a call. I'm here to help. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks.
Tune in next time to the Central Pennsylvania Real Estate Investors Meetup podcast, keeping you up to date with what is happening in the York, Lancaster, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania real estate markets.